Okay, so hopefully we're going live on all of our platforms right now. So thank you everyone who is going to start to jump on to join us right away. Today we are doing a masterclass, a live stream masterclass that's ancient carvings, writing your own secret messages in ancient scripts with our lovely recurring person, Martine. I'll let her tell you guys a little bit more about herself, but you've probably seen her from some other SASA streams and reading groups. What is SASA? SASA stands for Save Ancient Studies Alliance. It's our mission to reverse the current downward trend in the study of the ancient world by engaging the public and bringing together students and scholars to share their passion for the study of the ancient world in order to inspire vast new generations of students. And I don't know if I mentioned in my first slide that we are in the middle of our birthday bash, as you can probably tell from a PowerPoint. So we do a lot of things at SASA. We, of course, do lots of live streams, archaeo gaming every Friday. We also do research on the downward trend. We have an open access database that has probably about 1,500 websites in it now. That's a searchable database. We have a new mentoring team, so go check that out on our blog, and a million other projects going on. Where can you find SASA? You can search Save Ancient Studies Alliance on basically any platform. We post pretty much every day on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We stream on Twitch and YouTube and our Facebook page. And we also have a TikTok and a LinkedIn. So please follow and subscribe to those pages. Some quick protocol for the event. Please be kind and respectful. Listen and ask thoughtful questions throughout the event. Please do send your questions in the chat on any of the platforms where we are streaming. We will get all those questions in, and Martine would love to hear from you. So please be patient with technology, although it's been a long time since we've had some tech issues, so hopefully everything will go smoothly. And these streams are recorded and then saved on each of the platforms, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And of course, have fun. For our birthday bash, we have a very fun raffle going on for you to meet Dr. Kara Cooney, who is a pretty famous Egyptologist who's worked with Nat Geo, and she is an Egyptology professor at UCLA. So it's $25 for one raffle ticket, and the winner gets to invite up to 10 friends. And then we are also trying to get people to become recurring donors of SASA for as little as $3 a month. So if you like the programming you see from us and the other work we are doing, please consider becoming a recurring donor. This is the #1 way to support SASA. And last but not least, have fun during this stream. Again, please do send your questions and comments into the chat. So I will hand it over to Martine, and have a good time, everyone.
Yes. Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone, depending on where you are in the world. It's great to see so many people. I hope you can see me and hear me. Let me share the screen, see if that is working. Yes. So welcome to this Birthday Bash Masterclass about ancient carvings. As it says on the slide, my name is Martine Diepenbroek. I come from the Netherlands. I did a PhD in classics at the University of Bristol in the United Kingdom, and I currently work as a postdoctoral fellow for UJ Johannesburg in South Africa. And very soon I will be going there for a while as well to continue my research. And that is research into ancient scripts and communication and secrecy in the ancient world. I did a few SASA masterclasses before on these topics, and today it's time for a masterclass on ancient carvings. I hope you all have a piece of paper or something ready, because we're going to write our own messages. But first, let us take a look at some ancient scripts. What is it? Where does it come from? And what is our modern alphabet actually come from? What can we know if we take a look at ancient scripts? So first, we're going to take a look at where some of the ancient scripts come from, how they have developed, and then we're going to write our own secret messages. Any questions? Please put them into the chat. That would be great. Just one moment. Is this working? Yes. Yes. So very briefly, we'll start with a story from Homer. It's a story about a mythical hero called Bellerophon. And Bellerophon was carrying his own death sentence without knowing. He was carrying a message from one king to the other. And actually, the message said that the other person had to kill him for a number of reasons. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Then we will see what some ancient scripts look like hieroglyphics and cuneiform and such. Where does it come from? How has it developed? And then we're going to write our own messages. You can write normal or secret messages or say. The idea was to use bars of soap. So if you have a bar of soap and something like a pencil, and perhaps you can draw something within the soap. But of course, a piece of paper is fine, or clay, or anything you like. Any questions or comments, you can put them into the chat. I don't see any comments yet. I hope that is working. So, Homer, the story of Bellerophon. This is Homer. He lived in the 8th century BCE, so that's about 2,800 years ago. Today there is quite a bit of Today there is quite a bit of discussion among historians if Homer was a real person and if he wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey. It is more likely, as a number of scholars say these days, that the Iliad and the Odyssey are actually longer stories made up from several shorter stories that were already there, that had been brought down from generation to generation orally. And at some point, those stories were put together into the Iliad and the Odyssey. And later, at some point, someone believed that a guy called Homer wrote those 2 whole books. But as I said, the common theory these days is that the Iliad and the Odyssey were made up from shorter stories that were brought together at some point around 800 BC. Lauren, I can't see any messages in the chat. Is that all right? Let me just check.
Hey, we just haven't gotten any messages in yet, so they'll pop up on the side when they come in.
Right, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So the Iliad, the story about the Trojan War, a mythical war between Troy and Greek city-states that took place, if it has taken place, around 1200 BC. So that was 400 years at least before the stories came together. In the Iliad, there is a story about a mythical hero called Bellerophon. We see him here on Pegasus, the winged horse. In the family of Sisyphus, another mythical character, there was... in the family of Sisyphus, another mythical character, there was a boy born, and he was called Bellerophon. As Homer says, to Bellerophon, the gods granted beauty and lovely manliness. So he was like the perfect hero, someone who was beautiful and lovely and very strong and could do anything for his peers, his family. He would protect everything and everyone because he was a hero, as the Greek heroes would have looked like, at least according to Homer. But then there was another king called Proteus, and yes, but then there was So Bellerophon came from a town in Greece, and at some point he got to the court of King Proetus of Tyrants, also in Greece. And the king had a wife, so the queen Antea, and the queen was lusted madly for Bellerophon, as it's in the text, as she wanted to lie with him in secret love. So Bellerophon is at the Bellerophon is at the court of King Proetus in Tyrants as a guest. And then at some point, the queen approaches him, says, "I like you, I want to be with you for a while." But Bellerophon, his heart was upright, as Homer tells us. He didn't want to, so he said, "I don't want to." Yeah, he didn't want to. He said, "No, I don't want to move on with your advances. I don't want to be with you, to lie with you, and such." And then she got really angry. So Bellerophon refused laying with the queen, basically, and then the queen got so angry that she sorry, and then the queen got so angry that she lied about what Bellerophon had done. She went to her husband, to King Proetus. And she said, "Bellerophon laid with me against my will." So it's literally the opposite. The queen wanted to lie with him. She liked Bellerophon, but he said, "No, I don't want to." And then when Bellerophon refuses her, she is so shocked, so mad, that she tells her husband, "He lied with me against my will, and now you have to kill him." So she spoke, and wrath got hold upon the king to hear that word, as Homer tells us. So Brutus believes that Bellerophon raped his wife, King Antea, and then and therefore Bellerophon has to die. But Brutus has an issue. In ancient Greece in these days, you have the concept of guest friendship. If you would go into someone's house as a guest, that person had to take you in, had to feed you, perhaps clothe you, give you a place to stay for the night, and such. And it was against those rules of guest friendship. They called it xenia in Greek. It was against those rules to actually sorry, it was against those rules to do something to your guests which is against nature. So you couldn't kill them, definitely, but you couldn't even drive them out. If someone came to your home and said, "We need a place to stay, please can we stay here?" then you had to let them in. You had to feed them and give them time and place to rest and recover and such. So Brutus had an issue, because Antea said that Bellerophon, the guest, had raped her, and therefore Brutus wanted to kill him. But Brutus had to stick to those rules of guest friendship, of xenia. And therefore he came up with another plan. He sent Bellerophon to Lycia and gave him baneful tokens, graving in a folded tablet many signs and deadly. So Brutus wrote a message, a letter or such, on wax tablets. We will see some of them in a moment. And on the wax tablet, he wrote baneful signs. There is a lot of discussion about what exactly he wrote. Was it an actual message in a normal language in those days? Was it carvings? Was it a drawing or anything? But at least Proteus wanted to get rid of Bellerophon, but he had to stick to the rules of guest friendship. So instead, he sent Bellerophon to Lycia. Lycia is in Asia Minor, which is modern Turkey. So Bellerophon was sent to Lycia with a tablet, that contained signs that instructed the raider to kill Bellerophon. And Proteus bade Bellerophon to show these to his own wife's father, so that he might be slain. In Lycia, there lived Antaeus' father, so Proteus's father-in-law. So Proteus sent Bellerophon from Proteus sent Bellerophon from Greece to Asia Minor to Lycia, to the king of Lycia, who was the father-in-law of King Proteus. And the king of Lycia, he had to slay Bellerophon. In that way, Proteus got rid of the problem of Bellerophon. Basically, he could just send him away and someone else could kill him. So Bellerophon went his way to Lycia under the blameless escort of the gods. And when he came to Lycia, then with a ready heart did the king of the white Lycia, Eubates, do him honor. So with the message, he came to King Eubates of Lycia. And King Eubates of Lycia did him honor again, because again, he came in there as a friend, as a guest. So again, they had to take him in, feed him, give him a place to stay and rest and such. And they did so for 9 days. For 9 days, Eubates shewed Bellerophon entertainment and slew 9 oxen. So it was a huge feast with entertainment and such, and a lot of meat, a lot of food for 9 days. Hello, I see someone popping in. Hello, it's great to see you. Thank you. But after 9 days, when the 10th rosy-fingered dawn appeared, so when the 10th day started, then at length Eubates questions Bellerophon. So for 9 days, they have had fun and games and all sorts of festivities. But on the 10th day, Eubates goes to Bellerophon and asks him why he has actually come to him. Eubates asked to see whatever token he bear from his daughter's husband, Proteus. So Eubates is asking Bellerophon for the letter from Proteus. And when Eubates had received from him the evil token of his daughter's husband, first he bade Bellerophon to slay the raging chimera. So Eubates has the same problem as Proteus, basically. Bellerophon comes in there as a guest friend. There is feasting and partying and all sorts of festivities for 9 days. After 9 days, they finally actually have a look at why Bellerophon has come. So he gives the tablet to Eubates. Eubates reads the message from King Proteus, seeing this man, the one that's standing before you, has raped your daughter, my wife, so please get rid of him somehow. But again, Eubates is also bound to these rules of guest friendship. He doesn't really know what to do at first. And then he decides to give Bellerophon a number of tasks. And these tasks were so hard that they believed no one could ever succeed in fulfilling any of them, and Bellerophon would be killed by a monster or a monstrous tribe or anything. And in that way, the problem was solved. So first Bellerophon had to slay the raging chimera. Chimera was a monster of divine stock. In the forepart a lion, in the hinder a serpent, and in the midst a goat, breathing forth in terrible wise the might of blazing fire. So the chimera was like a monstrous creature, and it was terrorizing the country of Lycia. And Eubates thought, Eubates thought, I'll just send Bellerophon there, and the monster will kill him. Good riddance, basically. But on the contrary, Bellerophon slew the monster, trusting in the signs of the gods. And next, he fought a tribe that was conquering Lycia as well. And he was in the mightiest battle of warriors that ever Bellerophon entered, perhaps even the mightiest battle of warriors that that Greek history had seen until then. So he was such a great warrior. You saw him in the mightiest battles. Then he fought and slew all the Amazones. And the Amazones were women warriors. It was against nature for the Greeks that women would be warriors. So the Amazones, they were mythical creatures, mythical women who were warriors. And in quite a few stories, they are actually slain or at least defeated because women shouldn't be warriors, as the Greeks said in these days. And then he had slain and defeated all those tribes and monsters and such, but still the king was not happy. He chose out of White Lycia the bravest man and set an ambush. But none of the men in the ambush returned home, and Bellerophon slew and defeated all of them. So again, Bellerophon is victorious. And then King Eubates understands that Bellerophon must be offspring of a god, and he has slain so many monsters, it is actually okay now. So they forget about the raping, which wasn't even actual raping, of course, because Queen Anthea had made up the entire story of being raped. Sorry. Eubates got Bellerophon with him in Lycia, offered him his daughter, and gave him half of all his kingly honors. So what we see here is a mother. Hello, thank you for joining. Oh yes, thank you, host, for adding that to the chat. So what we see here is a mother. I gave another masterclass on mother mystery, where we're taking a closer look at this situation, this story. Now it's just good to remember that there was a secret tablet with a secret story on it. And Bellerophon didn't know what was in the tablet. He was only carrying it from one person to the next. He didn't know that he was carrying his own death sentence. And that has to do with how some ancient scripts were made up and how writing worked in the early days in Greece. So we're going to have a look at some of the ancient scripts, but if anyone is listening, checking the chat, what would you do if you were carrying your own death sentence without knowing? Yes. So maybe we will see some comments or other questions in the chat in a moment. So what we saw here was, I would just carry on since I didn't know. That's true. And what would you do when you found out? Run away. That's a good one. Although if you have if you have an entire army behind you or around you, surrounding you, that might be an issue, but it's definitely a good idea to run away as far as you can. This the message in the tablet was simple but effective, and this is where secret communication started in this story from Homer's Iliad. With nothing less than a secret death sentence, Bellerophon was carrying his own death sentence, and he didn't even know. So what did Proto-Ages use, and in what kind of language? Let us have a look at some ancient scripts. Someone else says I would be pretty angry or upset. Yes, definitely. Makes sense. You're carrying your own death sentence without knowing, and then suddenly you realize that you were tricked. I would also be pretty angry and upset. So what did those two men actually write to each other, and in what kind of script? What did it look like? Let us have a look at some ancient scripts and wax tablets. Communication started with the earliest cave paintings. They are known from various regions worldwide, and that started over 40,000 years ago. And what we see in cave paintings is early man just trying to make sense of the world around them. What did we see? What did we do? Like here we see a little guy with a bow and arrow shooting a stag or so. This curl could be a river. This one, I believe, is a snake. Here's another little guy. And so on. I wonder what this is. Any ideas? I would say it looks like a worm, but then it's a very big one compared to all the other pictures around it. And that one could be a bird's print or so. If anyone wants to comment on this, what do you see? Feel free to add it to the chat, of course. And then we go a whole lot further throughout history, and we end up about 3000 BC, so that's 5,000 years ago. 5,000 years ago, actual writing systems started, and it started with clay tablets, or cuneiform, from Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia is what we see now, is what is now part of the Middle East, Iran, Iraq, mainly. That part was called Mesopotamia in 3000 BC. Cuneiform writing works in this way. We have a clay tablet. We're going to do something like this for the activity in a moment, but of course, as I said, a piece of paper is fine as well. And then they took this wooden pointy thing, they call it a stylus. It's a bit like a pen, but then it's only the small wooden stick, and it has a sharp edge, and with the edge you carve stripes, crosses, and such simple small numbers into your clay tablets. Here on the right we see a guy actually doing this. Lawrence sees a mythical giant worm. Yeah, he knows. And someone else says we're doodling in a school notebook. Yeah, these doodles are actually a bit like those very early cave paintings as well. Or perhaps these signs. Here we see a cuneiform alphabet. Actually, they didn't have all the letters that we have nowadays, but this one has been kindly adapted to our modern writing system. But as you see, a lot of signs, rather large signs, for just one alphabetic letter. And around the same time, in 3000 BC, we see hieroglyphics appear. All right, let's try again. What do you see here? I believe this one here, we have a falcon. These pointy things are something like a staff or so. Here we have again a snake or perhaps a slug, a vulture, an eye. The symbol means a river or water. A cartouche, yes, that's right, well done. This bit, this bit with the line around it, that's called a cartouche in hieroglyphics. The cartouche is basically the bit that is one word or a couple of words or a sentence, but the bit that is supposed to be together, and that's why it is within this sort of rectangular shape. Hieroglyphics is a combination of pictograms, meaning this bird can mean bird, and this feather can mean feather, like the complete word. But it's also partly an alphabet. And that means that the bird also represents our letter A, for example. Sorry. The arm is the letter B, the leg is another letter B, and so on for most of our modern letters in our modern alphabet. So that means that you have a rather difficult writing system because the bird can mean bird, but it can also be the letter A. And with the context, so with the other signs around it, you have to figure out which of the two is meant. Is it bird or is it the letter A? But then at some point, people decided we have to make this easier for everyone. Cartouche was also used for a pharaoh's name. Yes, that's right. Thank you. So then at some point, people decided we have to do this easier. We have to make a simpler system that more people can understand. And that is when our modern alphabet first came into being. Our alphabet was introduced in Europe in the 8th century BC, so around the time that Homer wrote his novels, or at least the novels, the Iliad and the Odyssey, were composed at that time. So that was 2,800 years ago. And it was introduced in Europe by the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians came from North Africa. Their capital city was Carthage. You might have heard about it in the 3rd century BC, the Romans, coming from Italy, fought a number of wars against Carthage, because both nations were quite big, important powers in the region, and they were fighting for hegemony, fighting to find out who of them was the leader, which one of them could take control of the whole Mediterranean. So what we see here from Carthage, the Phoenicians expanded their territory along the coast of North Africa, Spain, Italy, and a bit of the Middle East. They were seafarers and traders and such. And in that way, yes, here we see a ship. Another one on a relief, a Phoenician ship. And as traders and salesmen and as traders and salesmen and seafarers and such, the Phoenicians came into contact with a number of other people, like the Greeks and the Romans, for example. Around 1300 BC, the Phoenician alphabet appeared. That was the first alphabet in the world. We see it here, some letters that we still know nowadays, but there were some other signs as well, like this apostrophe is an actual sign within the alphabet for the Phoenicians. And here you see the dot below the H, or the dot below the S. That is what you still see in Eastern European languages quite a lot. You don't see it in Dutch or English, for example. But what you see here is the first alphabet, and an alphabet is actually a writing system with one letter representing one sound, having one meaning. And you can put these letters together into words, and words putting together. And when you put words together, you create sentences, and in that way, you create a whole story. This is a lot easier to remember than the cuneiform signs or the hieroglyphics and such, because here you only have about 20 signs to remember. And with these 20 signs, you can write anything and everything. From the 8th century BCE, the Phoenician alphabet formed the basis for a number of other alphabets in Europe and the Middle East, because of those trading contacts. The first one, Aramaic, which in turn was the basis for Hebrew and Arabic. Then ancient Greek. The modern Greek alphabet is still pretty similar, but here we're taking a look at the ancient Greek alphabet. The Armenian alphabet. Within European languages, Armenian is completely different. It is a country with a language with a completely different alphabet, very different from all the other countries around it. That has to do with its history. I don't know all the details, but the Armenian alphabet is different within European languages. Armenian actually derived from Phoenician and Greek, so there you already see that there was more influence. And then the Phoenician alphabet through the Greek alphabet also made way for the Latin alphabet, and that is the alphabet that we still use up to present day. The early Latin alphabet is the earliest inscriptions and such in Latin, so in Roman territory, and they date back to the 6th century BC. Early Latin had only 20 letters. The letters we see here, J, U, W, X, Y, and Z, were still unknown. Then in the 1st century, we have Classical Latin. If we have any classicists watching, this is this is the alphabet. This is the period of of writings like those of Caesar and Cicero. So that is Classical Latin. Classical Latin had 21 letters. X, Y, and Z were added from Greek. And then we finally get to our complete 26-letter alphabet, and that was only completed in the late Middle Ages. In the late Middle Ages, the letters J, U, and W were added. Before then, you had the letter I, which was I and J, and V could be U, V, or W. So, wax tablets. Wax tablets, a lot of writing was done on wax tablets. Tablets made of wood, or sometimes ivory, with a recess filled with wax. And that was a common writing support in the ancient Mediterranean world. And then one took a sharp stylus, as we just saw in the pictures, made of wood, metal, or bone, and that was used to write in the wax. Tablets could be joined together in pairs, and in that way you get a kind of book. And that is what we see here. Two of these tablets together. We know that there were like actual books as well, with like 5 or 6 tablets. And since these are all perishable materials, we don't have that many tablets surviving. We have a lot more stone inscriptions and such, and other clay figures, clay tablets. We don't have that many complete wax tablets that have survived. Just a few pictures. Here we see Mesopotamian scribes. You see they have the stylus in their hand, and in the other hand they hold the writing tablet. This is a picture from a Greek vase. Here we see the tablet is opened up like vertically. It's almost like opening up the laptop these days. But actually, this guy is just opening up the tablet like vertically instead of horizontally. This is a fresco from Pompeii with a lady with a stylus. And here we see she has a number of writing tablets, like at least 4, maybe 5. And use of writing boards actually ended very recently, 150 years ago. Up to then, they were still used to keep record in the fish markets in the French city of Rouen until the 1860s. So from about 3000 BC to the 1860s, writing tablets or writing boards were used. The writing boards were durable, of course. So we have found back quite a few of the writing boards, but not the complete wax tablets with the wax on it, because that's obviously the more perishable material. Yes. Let's see if there are any other comments or questions. Nope, not yet. A group of researchers did a project called Writing on Wax, and they tried out a number of types of wax with various pigments and such to see what would have worked best for ancient writing tablet. Because wax quite often is white or yellowish, but it can be brown or black as well when it is mixed with other pigments. Like ochre to give it a brownish tint. Orpiment, that is an arsenic sulfate mineral that gives wax a golden appearance. So that is to give it a more golden color. Charcoal could also be used. Then you get black wax. And we even have ancient recipes. We even have ancient recipes of such pigments, like from the ancient world, people already saying you should use such and such substances to create the best possible wax. And you might wonder, does the wax melt with Mediterranean summer temperatures? When the mixture is mixed well, so you use the beeswax with charcoal or ochre or orpiment, and if it is mixed well, then the wax does not melt even at high Mediterranean summer temperatures. So that was a good mixture. This is what we do find quite often. This is the writing tablet, or most of it that has found back. These bits in the middle, the lighter bits, are added to keep the two slices of the board together. So these two bits weren't actually there when the tablet was found. And in the classical Greek and Roman world, we have more surviving tablets whose text can actually be read than we do from the Near East. In Greece and Rome, such tablets were used for all sorts of texts, from school exercises to legal documents. We have found a school exercise, for example, from Rome and Egypt. That is a wax tablet with the teacher's text above, and it is copied twice by the pupil. And that is this one. You can see quite small details in such tablets. This looks a bit like a bee. You can compare it to this sign. This might have been a sort of actual instruction saying imply the beeswax here. That is a very interesting detail. It is a tablet found in the Uluburun shipwreck. That is a shipwreck found near the coast of Turkey. So, time for a short activity. And therefore we return to our story about Bellerophon with the tablet. There was a lot of discussion about what Protus and Eubates actually wrote to each other. So what was written? Was it clear text like "kill Bellerophon, get rid of him," or "we have a problem, he raped your daughter," or "my wife," or "my daughter"? Maybe it was some sort of code like it was in a normal language, but then it was written in some sort of other script, other language, to make sure Bellerophon couldn't read it in case he would have opened the tablet. Other theories are they wrote pictograms, so like the hieroglyphics. They wrote very early drawings or signs, like the cave paintings. They wrote in actual hieroglyphics, cuneiform, or Greek, or any other script. What do you think? What did they write to each other? In what kind of script? All right, maybe we will see some comments in a moment. I believe it is most likely that the message was written. Yes, that sorry. I believe most likely is that we have a message sent in secret, written in another language than Greek, because it was sent in the Near East, in a Near Eastern context. It was going from the eastern part of Greece to Asia Minor. There was already contact between the regions. And it was, I believe it was an actual secret message, like with secret signs or such. It was written in secret. Bellerophon didn't know what was in the tablet. And it is very likely that it was written in a language other than Greek, because it was in a Near Eastern context. That is also quite plausible, because we know Anthea was, of course, the daughter of the queen of the king of Lycia, so she had been brought up in Asia Minor, and Proteus had lived there for a while as well. So they knew the local language. Greek spelling code, that is also a theory, yes. There are quite a few theories about what they wrote to each other and why and how exactly, but we haven't figured it out yet. Maybe one day. So, for the last couple of minutes, let us write something. You can... Yes. Okay, sorry, I think we lost connection for a moment. It's okay now. Let us write something. Take a piece of paper, or perhaps you have a bar of soap or a piece of clay or anything, and try to write something in secret, or signs or pictograms. It can be a secret message or a normal message. You can use any script. Let me just go back. Yes, we will use the alphabets provided. So let me just go back a bit to those. Yes. So let me just go back a bit. Oops, sorry. Yes, there we get it again. If you like, you can take a photo or so of any of these ancient writing systems, and then you can write your own secret or non-secret message. Here we have the cuneiform alphabet again. I'll leave it up here for a moment so you can take a picture or so. Here are the hieroglyphics, same thing. I'll just wait for a moment. Here we have a modern alphabet, of course. If we have any parents watching, it's great to do this with kids, I would say. Just give them one of these alphabets, let them write their names or let them write any message they want. I'll just get through to the other alphabets. Yes, the Phoenician alphabet. I will just show some of them, and then we get towards the end. Because of this live stream, this time we can't really compare with each other what we have written, because we can't see each other, of course. But think about it if you like to write one or two messages. Aramaic. Greek. Armenian. Early Latin. Maybe if you have some Latin students at home or Latin students who are watching, try to write something in the early Latin alphabet or the classical alphabet, then you're missing a few letters compared to the modern alphabet. That might also be quite a challenge. And then the classical alphabet from the time of Caesar and Cicero. And here we have our complete modern alphabet. Let's see if there are any more questions or comments.
So, Martine, I had to here. Let's put each other next to each other so we got some more room
Yes.
here. I wrote one in Greek. It says ego agapo or agapotone SASA, which means I love SASA.
I know you do.
Yeah. I also am somewhat of a classicist, so I went with Greek, which is the one that I know a little bit
Makes sense.
more about. So yay, great. Please, you guys, if you do like end up making something, you can always, these streams are saved on the platforms where you were watching them. So you can always send us a screenshot or a picture of what you wrote. We would love to see it. It is, like Martine said, it is a fun one to do with like kids and stuff like that too. We've seen a lot of programs that are similar to SASA that are trying to do things, implementing ancient study stuff into like middle school classrooms and things, where they'll do a wax tablet thing. When I was in high school in Latin class, we did a thing where we made wax tablets and wrote little messages. So it is actually a really fun little project to do.
It is.
Yeah. Or you could always just let us know in the chat what kind of message you would want to write.
Yes.
So now that we just have another minute left, I'm going to share my screen again real quick to remind you about the birthday bash. So again, this live stream was part of our birthday bash fundraiser, which ends on Sunday. So the main aspect of this is that we have a raffle to meet Dr. Karakuni, which this closes on Sunday. So get your raffle tickets now, and then we will be picking the name of the winner on like Sunday or Monday and announce it. So thank you very much for that. Of course, you can also become a recurring donor of SASA for as little as $3 a month if you like seeing this kind of programming or any of the other stuff that SASA offers. This really does help us. And of course, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. So, Martine, and if you have anything else, any last words?
Any last words? Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it. You learned a bit about ancient scripts and the first forms of coding, and now you know where our modern alphabet comes from. So please share with anyone you like, and then maybe one time we will see each other for another masterclass or any other event. So thank you.
Yes, thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful day.